You've been dragging a corpse through your life, the old version of you, the one built on excuses, fear, and comfort. It whispers lies to keep you small, safe, and invisible. But deep down, you know that version is dead weight, and it's time to bury it. What if everything you've ever wanted isn't ahead of you, but trapped behind the weak self you refuse to kill? This is not motivation, this is execution. One decision, one transformation, one funeral, the death of who you were, and the rebirth of who you were meant to become. Are you ready to pull the trigger? You've been carrying something that was never meant to come with you, a version of yourself built in moments of fear, sculpted by hesitation, shaped by every time you shrank instead of stood tall. You tell yourself it's who you are, but it's not. It's who you settled for, and it's heavy. So heavy that every step forward feels like a struggle. Every dream feels distant, not because it's unreachable, but because you're dragging a ghost that should have been buried long ago. That version of you, the one that hides behind excuses, avoids pain, waits for permission, it's not your true self. It's a parasite. It lives off your potential. It feeds on your delays. It grows stronger every time you listen to its voice saying, "Not yet," or "maybe later." But you weren't born to carry dead weight. You were born to carry fire. You weren't meant to repeat days. You were built to create legacies. This is the moment, not tomorrow, not when you feel more ready, now. Because every day you keep that version alive, it pulls you further from the life you're meant to build. And the lie it tells you, the cruelest lie, is that killing it would be painful. The truth, living with it is what's slowly killing you, one hesitation at a time, one compromise value, one more dream you never dared to chase. You have to decide. No one's coming to do it for you. There's no ceremony, no rescue, just a silent choice made when no one's looking. A choice to kill weakness, not negotiate with it. To cut off the voice that says you can't. To end the habit of becoming smaller so others feel comfortable. To stop dragging the weight of a version of you that was never meant to survive this far. That version fears discomfort. Yours runs toward it. That version avoids the mirror. Yours confronts it. That version worships safety. Yours was born for war. And make no mistake, this is war, not against others. Against the version of you that was built in fear and fed by excuses. You don't need more time. You don't need more clarity. You need one clean, ruthless decision to bury the weak self, to stop explaining why you haven't started, to reject the illusion that staying the same is neutral. It's not. It's betrayal of your gift, of your calling, of the fire that's been waiting for permission to burn. So ask yourself, how much longer will you carry what you should have buried? How much more of your life will you waste protecting the weaker version of you, the one who gave up too soon, the one who accepted less, the one who looked in the mirror and saw limitation instead of power? Kill it, mourn it if you must, but don't keep it, because the next version of you isn't just waiting to be discovered, it's begging to be unleashed, but it can't rise until the imposter dies. The biggest lie you've ever believed is that you are finished, that who you are right now, this moment, this version, is the final form, that the habits you've built, the patterns you repeat, the limits you've accepted are permanent parts of you, but they're not. They're choices you've made for so long that you've mistaken them for identity. The truth, you're not finished. You've barely begun. And every time you tell yourself, this is just who I am, you slam the door shut on the life begging to be built beyond that lie. You're not stuck because of your circumstances. You're stuck because of your belief that you've already become all that you can be. You've confused familiarity with fate. You've made peace with patterns that are poisoning your potential. But understand this. Evolution is not a luxury. It's your responsibility. It's not something reserved for the gifted, the lucky, the chosen. It's demanded of anyone who dares to live fully. There is more inside you. You know it. You've felt it in quiet moments. When you looked around and thought, this can't be it. When you heard a voice low and steady saying, there's more. That voice wasn't lying, but it's growing faint. Every time you ignore it, every time you settle, it gets quieter until one day it disappears. And what's left? A life that looks complete on the outside but is hollow at its core. Don't let that happen to you. You were made to evolve, like rivers that reshape the land, like trees that break through stone, like stars that collapse only to explode into something more brilliant. Stagnation isn't safety, it's decay. And your refusal to change doesn't preserve your comfort. It corrodes your capacity. Every day you refuse to stretch, you shrink. Every day you cling to how it's always been, you choose the grave over growth. So stop telling the story that you've peaked, that your best days are behind you, that you missed your chance, that your prime has passed. That narrative is a coffin disguised as logic. Burn it. Replace it with something brutal and honest. If I'm breathing, I'm building. If I'm alive, I'm expanding. If I'm here, I've got more to give. You are not finished, not even close. But you must stop living like you are. Because every second wasted defending the current version of you is a second stolen from the future version who's trying to be born. You are not here to repeat what you've already done. You're here to evolve so radically that the old you would barely recognize the person standing in your place. The world isn't asking you to stay the same. It's daring you to become something greater. So don't wait for a sign. This is your sign. Look in the mirror and tell the old story to sit down. Then start writing the next one, louder, stronger, and so much more alive. Excuses don't scream. They whisper. They don't shatter your dreams in one blow. They erode them slowly, day by day, disguised as logic, reason, even self-care. They don't look like enemies, they look like friends, and that's what makes them lethal. You don't fight excuses, you entertain them, you feed them, you protect them, and in return they chain you to the version of yourself you were supposed to outgrow. You don't need more time, you don't need more information, you don't need another book, another course, another permission slip from the universe. You need to rip the mask off the thing that's been quietly suffocating your greatness, your excuses. I'm too tired. I'm not ready. I don't have the resources. These are not reasons. They are walls built to keep you small. And you've gotten good at decorating those walls. You've turned them into justification, into identity, into personality traits. But they are still chains, no matter how pretty you make them. Your mind is clever. It will present excuses as wisdom. Be realistic. Don't rush. Wait until the timing is better. These phrases wear suits and carry clipboards, but they're thieves in disguise, robbing you of the life you were meant to build. You've been taught to value being careful more than being courageous. But caution doesn't build legacies. Movement does. Risk does. Showing up when it's uncomfortable does. And here's the sick truth. Excuses feel good. That's why you keep them. They give you relief in the short term. They release the pressure. They let you off the hook. But the cost is permanent. They trade the discomfort of action for the torment of regret. And you know it. You've felt it. That hollow ache when another day passes and you're no closer to who you said you'd be. That's not life being unfair. That's the compound interest of excuses collecting their debt. So what do? You stop negotiating. You stop explaining. You stop softening the language around what's really happening. You're not figuring it out. You're hiding. You're not being strategic. You're stalling. You're not waiting for the right time. You're scared. And that's okay. But own it and then move anyway. Because every time you act in defiance of an excuse, you weaken its grip. Every time you do the thing you said you couldn't, you rewrite what's possible. You don't overcome excuses by thinking about them. You overcome them by proving them wrong again and again until the voice that once sounded like your own becomes unrecognizable. You are not born with excuses. You learned them. You built them. And now it's your job to dismantle them with action, with truth, with relentless commitment to something greater than comfort. Because excuses are chains, and the only thing stronger than those chains is the fire of a decision made in full power. So decide now, break the chains, and never pick them up again. Comfort is the most beautiful trap ever built. It wraps you in soft lies. It whispers, "You're okay right here." It makes the present feel good enough and the future feel unnecessary. It doesn't shock you with pain, it soothes you with pleasure. And while you're nestled inside it, your dreams die quietly, your potential rots unseen, and your soul forgets what it means to burn. Comfort is not your friend. It is a coffin, lined with cushions, sealed by routine, and nailed shut by hesitation. You weren't built for this. You weren't designed to coast. Your DNA was forged from the survival of those who endured storms, famine, war, fire. Do you think they passed down their bloodline so you could sit on a couch and scroll through a life you're too afraid to live? Comfort is betrayal, not reward. It rewards nothing but stillness, and stillness over time becomes decay. Growth doesn't live in the center. It lives on the edge of pain, the edge of fear, the edge of uncertainty. Every version of you that's stronger, wiser, bolder is waiting on the other side of something uncomfortable. And every time you retreat back into ease, you choose to stay dead to that next version. You choose the coffin. You choose to be embalmed in routines that never challenge you, decisions that never stretch you, and people who never demand more of you. This isn't about chasing pain for the sake of pain. It's about recognizing that resistance is the price of transformation. Your muscles only grow when they're torn. Your lungs only expand when they're pushed. Your spirit only strengthens when you do what the comfortable version of you avoids. That's the gateway. That's where you'll meet yourself again. Not the version others know, but the version you buried under years of playing it safe. You think comfort is earned, but comfort is rented, and the rent is due every day. The second you stop paying with effort, discomfort collects its debt through regret, complacency, and stagnation. You may not feel the pain of that debt today, but you will. It shows up in the silence between your thoughts. It appears in the tension between who you are and who you know you could be. That gap, that's the coffin closing. So how do you escape? Not by thinking about it, not by planning, but by doing one uncomfortable thing every single day until it becomes your new home. Cold showers, hard conversations, late nights building, early mornings grinding. Not because it feels good, but because you're no longer addicted to feeling good. You're committed to becoming great. The comfort you crave is the very thing that's killing you, quietly, slowly, permanently. So climb out now, throw off the sheets, smash the walls, burn the coffin, and run toward the edge, because that's where life begins. That's where the real you is waiting. And if you don't go get him, no one will. Desire gets you excited. Discipline gets you free. You've been lied to, told that if you want it bad enough, it will happen. That emotion is the engine. That motivation is magic. But the truth, motivation is a ghost. It visits when things are easy. It disappears when you need it most. Desire makes promises. Discipline delivers results. Everyone wants something. Everyone dreams. Everyone gets fired up after a video or a speech or a glimpse of someone else's success. But what separates the talkers from the builders isn't how much they want it. It's how often they show up when they don't feel like it. And that's where most people lose. They wait for a feeling. They wait for the high to return. And in that waiting, they become spectators in their own lives. Desire is the spark. Discipline is the firewood. Without structure, the flame dies. Without repetition, the goal fades. Without war against weakness, every single day you lose momentum. And when momentum dies, the old version of you returns. The one who negotiates with laziness. The one who listens to the voice that says, skip today. The one who makes bold declarations and then breaks them in private. Freedom doesn't come from doing what you want. It comes from doing what you must, even when you don't want to. That's real power, not reacting to mood, but enforcing mission. That's when you become dangerous, when your behavior is no longer chained to your emotions. Discipline isn't sexy. It's early alarms, repeated reps, the same small, unimpressive actions performed over and over with military precision. No applause, no recognition, just quiet, brutal commitment. And that's why most people never taste real success. They can't stomach the silence of effort unacknowledged. But here's the secret. In that silence, you grow teeth. You build a mind that doesn't flinch, a spine that doesn't bend, a will that doesn't wait for the weather to change before it moves. You become reliable, not to others but to yourself. You stop betraying your potential. You start becoming what you said you'd be. You're not missing information. You're not missing talent. You're missing consistency. And the only way to get it is to divorce your actions from your feelings, to stop asking, do I feel like it? And start demanding, what would the highest version of me do right now? Then do it. No delay. No debate. Because every time you act against weakness, you make it weaker. And every time you give in, you train yourself to quit. The choice is always there. Fire or flicker, rise or repeat, grow or excuse, discipline or desire. So stop chasing motivation. Start building ritual. Show up when you're tired. Show up when you're uninspired. Show up when your flesh screams to stop, because that's the moment the old version of you begins to die. And the one who finishes what he starts, that's the version who gets free. Your mind is not your ally, not yet, because right now it's being run by traitors. Fear, doubt, and laziness have taken over the control room. And for too long, you've let them call the shots. They've managed your decisions, your beliefs, your direction. And what have they built? A life that's smaller than what you're capable of. A path littered with hesitations, missed chances, and watered-down dreams. You keep wondering why you feel stuck. This is why. Your internal leadership is corrupt. Fear tells you to play safe. Doubt tells you you're not enough. Laziness says, let's just stay here a little longer. Together, they've created a system that keeps you alive, but never alive enough to change. They whisper like experts. They wear the suit of logic, but they're saboteurs, and they've been running your mental empire into the ground. Every time you pause when you should leap, they win. Every time you justify your stagnation, they win. Every time you let the fire die because someone told you your dream was too big, they win. But not anymore. You are not here to negotiate with internal weakness. You are here to fire it, not with a memo, not with a whisper, with a purge, a full restructuring of your mind. That means auditing every thought, inspecting every belief, challenging every internal voice that doesn't serve your future. And when you find one that sounds like fear, that doubts your strength, that tells you comfort is safer, terminate it immediately. No severance, no final paycheck, just gone. You don't just get stronger by lifting weights. You get stronger by removing the mental viruses that sabotage you from within. You don't win by adding more. You win by deleting what's killing your momentum. And this isn't optional. This is survival. Because if you don't take control of your mind, someone or something else will. Old programming, childhood wounds, cultural noise, past failures, all of it will step in to lead if you don't. Your brain is powerful, but it's also obedient. It runs the code it's been given. You want a different output? Rewrite the code. That starts with a new management team, one led by courage, one fueled by focus, one governed by clarity, hunger, and purpose. Install a mental CEO who makes decisions based on your future, not your fear. Build thought patterns that create motion, not paralysis. Thoughts are not innocent. They are instructions. They either build your empire or burn it from within. From this moment forward, make it your mission to manage your mind like a fortress, ruthlessly. No weak thoughts allowed to squat in your mental real estate. No inherited fear passed down like tradition. You are the gatekeeper now, and nothing enters that doesn't serve the vision, because the old management ran your life into mediocrity. The new management is here to build something eternal, and it starts with this. One decision made in full power, you're fired. Failure has lied to you. It told you that it defines you, that your mistakes are a reflection of your worth, that every misstep, every wrong turn, every crash and burn is a permanent scar that proves you're not good enough. And you believed it. You wore it like a label. You repeated it like a story. I'm the one who failed at that business. I'm the one who ruined that relationship. I'm the one who never followed through. But hear this now, you are not your failures. You are what you do after them. Failure is not your identity. It is tuition. It is training. It is the price of mastery. There is no growth without it. There is no greatness without it. And if you're avoiding failure, you're avoiding the very process that forges power. The strongest people on earth have failed more than you've even dared to try. They've fallen harder, longer, and in front of more people. But here's the difference. They didn't stay down. They mined every ounce of pain, pulled gold from the rubble, and stood back up with a sharper edge and deeper resolve. Your mind has been conditioned to mourn mistakes, to shrink when you lose, to replay the moment over and over until it becomes shame. But failure is not shame. It's information. It's feedback. It's correction. Every loss is a lesson written in fire. And if you're brave enough to touch the flames, you'll find the wisdom others run from. But most won't. They build identities around their wounds. They say, this happened to me, and stop there. But the few, the dangerous ones, they say, this happened for me, and keep going. Don't run from the pain. Stand inside it. Ask it questions. Dig through it with bare hands. What did it teach you? What weakness did it expose? What strength did it require? Because once you pull the lesson from the loss, the failure no longer owns you. You own it. It becomes a trophy, not a tombstone. A stepping stone, not a sentence. You failed? Good. That means you've tried. That means you've bled for something. That means you were in the fight, not just watching from the sidelines. And if you're still standing, even with bruises, even with doubts, then you're dangerous. Because a person who refuses to be defined by defeat can never be controlled by fear again. Every master was once a disaster. Every legend has a graveyard of attempts behind their triumphs. The question isn't if you'll fail, it's whether you'll bury it or build with it. Will you mourn your setbacks, or will you mine them for strategy? Will you let the pain rot, or will you use it to rise? You are not what went wrong. You are what rises from the ashes. You are what endures. You are what evolves. So dig deep, find the lesson, find the edge, and fuel the fire. Because if you're still breathing, you're still building. And the failure you thought would break you might just be the thing that builds the beast. Stop waiting to find yourself. You are not a treasure hidden in some distant land. You are not a puzzle missing a final piece. You are not some mystical being waiting to be unearthed by time or circumstance. You're a builder, a creator, a sculptor holding the hammer and chisel. Identity is not discovered, it is decided. You've been lied to, told that your true self is something you stumble upon one day, that if you just live long enough, suffer deeply enough, wander far enough, you'll one day wake up and say, ah, there I am. But the truth is harsher and more liberating. No one finds themselves. They build themselves with intention, with grit, with choices made when it's hard, not when it's convenient. Who you are is not a fixed equation. It's a construction site. And every decision you make either lays another brick in the structure of your greatness or leaves the foundation to rot. You don't become disciplined by accident. You don't become courageous by waiting. You don't become powerful by scrolling through your options. You choose it, you declare it, then you act on it, and you do it again and again and again until it sticks, until it hardens into habit, until the old version of you no longer has a seat at the table. Write it down. I am disciplined. I am relentless. I am the one who does not back down. Then prove it with every action, because repetition is what gives identity its roots. Words are wind. Action is cement. You are not what you say you want to be. You are what you repeatedly do. This is not about faking it. It's about becoming it. It's about stepping into the role before you feel ready. It's about acting as the person you aspire to be so often, so consistently, that your nervous system accepts it as truth. That's not delusion. That's rewiring. That's transformation. That's how greatness is born. You don't wait to feel like a leader. You lead. You don't wait to feel confident. You act with courage. You don't wait to be worthy. You decide you are, and then align your behavior with that decision. Every powerful person you admire, they weren't handed an identity. They forged it under fire, in the dark, when no one clapped and no one cared. And that's what you must do too. So stop looking, stop waiting, stop wandering through life like a tourist in your own potential. You are not here to observe. You are here to build. Choose your identity. Choose the values. Choose the mission. Then bleed for it. Sweat for it. Sacrifice for it until it becomes undeniable. You are not your past. You are not your pain. You are not your environment, your doubts, or the labels someone else gave you. You are who you decide to become. And that decision starts now. Not when it feels right, when it feels terrifying, because that's where the real you is born, not in discovery, in declaration. Pain was never meant to break you. It was meant to build you. But somewhere along the way, you were taught to fear it, to run from it, to see it as punishment, as failure, as evidence that you're not enough. And so you flinch, you retreat, you fold, not because you're weak, but because you were never told the truth. Pain is not the enemy. It is the initiation. Every transformation passes through it. Every rebirth is born in it. The fire that burns you is the same fire that forges you. Look around. Nothing meaningful in life is created without pressure, without resistance, without discomfort. Muscles tear before they grow. Bones break before they heal stronger. Seeds split open before they sprout. You were never meant to avoid pain. You were meant to use it. But most people never will. They'll spend their lives designing routes around discomfort. They'll build routines that guarantee safety, relationships that demand no growth, habits that preserve the status quo, and they'll call it wisdom. They'll call it being careful. But what it really is fear dressed as strategy. Avoiding pain doesn't protect you. It imprisons you. Pain is not a prison. It's a passage, a brutal, beautiful bridge between the version of you that's dying and the version of you that's waiting to be born. But you have to walk through it, not crawl, not tiptoe, not wait for someone to carry you. You walk into the storm, you feel the rain, you taste the fire, and in doing so, you earn the right to rise. Pain is proof you're in the arena. It's evidence that you're moving, stretching, risking. And if you're not feeling it, you're not growing. You're coasting, you're repeating, you're hiding. Stop asking for a painless path. It doesn't exist. Ask for the strength to endure the necessary suffering. Ask for the eyes to see it clearly, not as punishment, but as process. The question isn't, how do I get rid of pain? The question is, what will I build with it? Will you let it harden you or heal you? Will it make you bitter or better? Will it drive you to numb yourself or to forge a deeper level of strength that the comfortable will never understand? There's a reason diamonds are formed under pressure. There's a reason warriors are forged in war. Stop pretending you can become exceptional while living like everyone else. Pain is the price, and your willingness to pay it is what separates the average from the unstoppable. So the next time it hits, the betrayal, the failure, the grief, the fear, don't run, don't shrink, don't numb it, stand still, breathe, and whisper to yourself, this is making me, because it is. Every ounce of it. This is not the end, it's the threshold. Cross it. Become unrecognizable. Let the fire do its work, and walk out the other side, reborn. Someday is a lie. It's the graveyard where dreams go to die, buried next to all the good intentions that were never followed by action. You don't need more time, you need a deadline, because without one, your vision isn't a plan, it's a fantasy. And fantasies don't change your life, they numb it. They keep you comfortable in the illusion of progress while you waste another year standing still. You think you're being patient. You're being passive. You think you're waiting for clarity. You're giving your fear more time to build walls. The truth is brutal. If your goal doesn't have a date on it, it doesn't exist. It's just noise. It's just another version of one day, soon, eventually. And those words are soft, gentle, and fatal. They let you off the hook. They feel reasonable, but they are the enemy. Because while you wait, time doesn't. While you hesitate, the clock keeps moving, and every tick is opportunity lost, momentum killed, potential buried. Deadlines force clarity. They demand focus. They strip away the fluff and force you to make decisions. They don't care if you're scared. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They simply ask, will you do it or not? When you put a date on a dream, you declare war on the part of you that loves to drift. You corner the coward inside you and say, run if you want, but we're finishing this. And yes, deadlines bring pressure. That's the point. Pressure sharpens you. It forces you to prioritize. It kills excuses. Without it, you'll always find something else to do, someone else to blame, another reason why now isn't the time. And don't lie to yourself about quality over speed. That's just perfectionism hiding behind intellect. The greatest breakthroughs don't come from endless planning. They come from action, iteration, urgency. Set the deadline. Move like your life depends on it, because in a very real way, it does. Your next life, the one that's stronger, sharper, more fulfilled, it's waiting on the other side of a line in the sand. And you draw that line with a date. Pick the day, mark the calendar, write it in blood if you have to. That's your battlefield now, and every day between now and then is war. You show up, you push forward, you break yourself and rebuild yourself because the clock is ticking. You either finish it by then or you dig the grave for what could have been. No more vague goals, no more open loops, no more giving your dreams permission to drift. It ends now. A deadline is a commitment with teeth. It demands action, and it will expose who you really are, either the one who delivers or the one who disappears. Set the date. Honor it with obsession, because the future isn't waiting, and your destiny won't be delayed forever. Look around you. The people in your life are not neutral. They are either pulling you forward or holding you down. You don't rise in isolation. You rise in alignment. And your circle is either your rocket fuel or your anchor. That's not opinion. That's law. The law of association. You become what you're exposed to. The standards you tolerate, the habits you see, the energy you absorb, it all adds up. Slowly, quietly. Until one day you wake up and realize you've become the average of the people you've allowed closest to you. You can't outgrow your environment, not for long, because gravity is real and people are gravity. The lazy normalize delay. The fearful validate hesitation. The small-minded encourage your comfort. You tell them a dream and they laugh. You mention discomfort and they nod in agreement that maybe it's not worth the trouble. And every time you hear it, every time you let it slide, something inside you gets smaller. That's not just conversation, that's contamination. You want to elevate your life? Start with who you're standing next to. Because mediocrity spreads, so does greatness. If everyone around you is coasting, you'll slow down too. Not because you're weak, but because we're wired for harmony. You'll adjust your pace, you'll shrink your goals, you'll lower your voice, not because you believe less, but because no one's pushing you to believe more. This is why your environment isn't just background, it's blueprint. Show me your 5 closest relationships, and I'll show you your trajectory. Not your hopes, not your potential, your direction. You can't build a champion's life surrounded by quitters. You can't think like a giant while speaking with cowards. If you want to fly, stop walking with people who are afraid to leave the ground. You need people who challenge you, who confront your excuses, who refuse to let you play small, not out of judgment, but because they see who you really are, the version of you buried beneath fear, comfort, and delay. They won't accept your limitations because they know your capability. And if that makes you uncomfortable, good. Growth always does. This isn't about cutting everyone off. It's about choosing with intention who sharpens you, who stretches you, who walks the walk, not just talks it. If your circle isn't making you uncomfortable with their ambition, their work ethic, their execution, you're in the wrong room. The people you spend time with are either building your future or breaking it down. They are mirrors. They are forecasts. They are destiny makers or destiny takers. Choose wisely, because your circle is not just your company, it's your ceiling. If you want to rise, raise your standards, and then align with those who meet them, because your circle will shape you. The only question is, into what? The fear of judgment is a cage. And the worst part, you built it yourself. You welded every bar, locked every chain, and handed out the keys to people who don't even know your name, don't care about your purpose, and won't be there when your life is over. You tiptoe through life afraid to be seen, terrified to be misunderstood, shrinking your voice, filtering your truth, all because of them. What will they think? What will they say? Let me tell you something brutal and liberating. They're not thinking about you. They're too busy worrying about themselves. But the damage is already done. You've built your decisions around imagined opinions. You've delayed dreams because someone might laugh. You've kept your greatness quiet to avoid ruffling feathers. And every time you do, you shrink. Not physically, spiritually, internally. Bit by bit, the real you gets smaller, buried under 1,000 compromises. And you wonder why you feel empty. It's because you've traded authenticity for acceptance. Judgment is inevitable. Freedom is optional. You can't control who approves. You can't dictate who claps. But you can decide who you'll be when no one claps at all. That's where true power begins, when your actions no longer require applause, when your direction isn't detoured by disapproval, when you realize that purpose is not a popularity contest and legacy isn't built on likes. The weak version of you lives to impress. It rehearses its every move, waters down its passion, dresses its goals in humility so it doesn't intimidate anyone. But that version will never lead, never create, never rise. It'll be liked, it'll be praised, and it'll be forgotten. Because history doesn't remember the ones who played it safe. It remembers the ones who walked into the storm and said, "This is who I am, critics be damned." You need to make a decision. Will you live your life or theirs? Will you follow your conviction or their consensus? Because you can't have both. You can't serve your calling and your critics. The cost of being fully you is that not everyone will understand, but the reward is that you will. You'll look in the mirror and finally see someone worth respecting, not because they pleased everyone, but because they honored themselves. So speak louder, move faster, dream bigger. Let them whisper. Let them roll their eyes. Let them misunderstand you. That's their cage, not yours. You don't need their permission. You don't need their applause. You don't need their praise. You need courage. And courage isn't the absence of judgment. It's the refusal to be ruled by it. Kill the fear before it kills your future. Because the longer you wait to be approved, the more of your life you surrender to people who don't matter. And by the time you realize they were never your judges, only spectators, it might be too late. Live loud, live real, let them talk. You've got work to do. Doubt doesn't shout. It whispers. It slips in quietly, disguised as reason, dressed up as caution. It tells you to wait, to prepare a little more, to gather just one more piece of evidence before you act. And while it sounds like wisdom, what it's really doing is killing you softly. Killing your momentum, killing your confidence, killing the version of you that could have been unstoppable if you had just moved. Doubt is a disease. It starts small, a hesitation, a question, a pause. Then it spreads. It infects your thoughts, rewires your belief system, sabotages your ambition. Before you know it, you're frozen, stuck between the life you want and the life you've convinced yourself is safe. But let's make one thing clear. The antidote is not thinking harder. The antidote is action. You cannot outthink doubt. You cannot out-strategize fear. You can't intellectualize your way to confidence. Confidence comes from execution. Period. Every time you move while afraid, you make the doubt smaller. Every time you take the shot while uncertain, you train your mind to trust your own power. Action cures doubt. Not perfectly, not all at once, but reliably every single time. You think you need clarity before you begin, but clarity isn't the starting line. Clarity is the reward for starting. The more you do, the more you see. The more you see, the less you doubt. Doubt dies in motion. It suffocates under the weight of progress. It can't survive in the presence of proof, and proof only comes through action. That business idea, start. That conversation you're avoiding, have it. That workout plan you've been delaying, execute it. Stop waiting for the stars to align. They won't. The conditions will never be perfect. The fear will never fully disappear. So act anyway. That's what separates the average from the extraordinary. Not talent, not luck. Movement. The Wright brothers didn't build flight by waiting for permission. They were surrounded by experts telling them it was impossible. They weren't qualified. They didn't have the credentials. But they acted. They failed, then acted again. While everyone else was debating theory, they were testing wings. They beat doubt by moving relentlessly, obsessively, imperfectly. Every second you wait, doubt multiplies. Every moment you hesitate, fear feeds on your delay. And the longer you let it grow, the harder it is to kill. So don't hesitate, don't stall. Don't wait for the green light. Be the green light. Show up. Do the work. Move forward even if your hands shake and your voice trembles. Because doubt isn't your nature, it's your habit. And like any habit, it can be broken, but only through discipline, through repetition, through action so consistent that hesitation no longer has space to speak. Move now, decide now, act now. Let the world adjust to your momentum. Let doubt watch you sprint by while it sits on the sidelines wondering what happened. The cure is in your hands, and it looks like this. Relentless execution. Perfection doesn't win championships. Perseverance does. The world isn't ruled by the most talented. It's ruled by the most relentless, the ones who keep showing up long after the motivation is gone, the ones who don't care how they feel. They care what must be done, the ones who stay standing when everyone else is sat down. That's what separates the average from the extraordinary. Not skill, not luck, not brilliance. Endurance. You've been told to wait for the right moment, to move when it feels right. But the champion doesn't wait for feelings. The champion forges them. They keep moving when it's hard, when it's boring, when it's thankless, when it's humiliating. Because they know the goal isn't reached in one perfect day. It's reached through 1,000 unimpressive, painful, ordinary days stacked with brutal consistency. You want to be exceptional? Then you better learn how to suffer well. Because this path will not cater to your comfort. It will break you, stretch you, test you. But the only thing that matters in the end is this. Did you keep going? Not how fast, not how fancy. Just did you continue when it made no sense to? This is where most people fail, not at the beginning, at the middle, when the hype is worn off, when the results aren't instant, when the applause fades and all that's left is silence and sweat. That's where dreams go to die. Not because the dream was wrong, but because the dreamer gave up too soon. Understand this. Resistance isn't a sign to stop. It's proof you're close. The pressure you feel, that's the signal you're in the fight. The pain you feel, that's the burn before the breakthrough. Every no brings you closer to a yes. Every failure trains you for the win. Every step through hell is a step away from who you used to be. The champion is not the one who started with the biggest dream. It's the one who refused to quit. The one who got knocked down but crawled forward. The one who heard the voice say, "You're done," and replied, "Not yet." The one who made perseverance not a choice but an identity. You think you're tired? You're not. You're being tested. You think you failed? You haven't. You've just been invited to level up. And the only way to win the long war is to outlast the obstacles, to stay in the game longer than your fear, longer than your excuses, longer than your old story. Your perseverance is your edge. Your refusal to fold is your weapon. And every day you show up, bloody, exhausted, uncertain, you sharpen that edge until the day comes when the resistance gives up before you do, and you finally realize the war was never about perfection. It was about who could endure the most without breaking. And that's you. If you keep going, everyone has a dream. Everyone has a vision. But vision without action, that's a beautiful lie. It's the most seductive form of self-deception. You imagine it, feel it, talk about it, but you never build it. You mistake clarity for progress. But clarity without execution is just a fantasy in disguise, and fantasies are cheap. They cost nothing. Building costs blood. You talk about the business, the body, the book, the life. You sketch it in your head like it's already real. But when it's time to do the work, to wake up early, to write the words, to make the calls, you hesitate. You wait for the right time. You say you're planning. No, you're hiding. And you're not alone. The world is full of visionaries who never left the starting line. Dreamers with journals full of potential and calendars full of empty days. Stop glorifying potential. Stop worshiping what you could do. Potential is worthless without proof, and proof only comes through execution. The difference between dreamers and doers isn't what they believe, it's what they build. The dreamer says one day. The builder says day one. The dreamer says, I need more time. The builder says, I'll use what I've got. The dreamer waits for inspiration. The builder makes inspiration irrelevant by moving. Action is sacred. It's how you declare war on who you used to be. It's how you tell the universe, I'm not just talking anymore. Because the universe doesn't respond to intentions. It responds to movement. The ones who move imperfectly, messily, relentlessly, those are the ones who carve their names into the world. You think you need more motivation. You don't. You need more follow-through, more reps, more sweat, more dull, unsexy, back-against-the-wall grind that turns ideas into monuments. The future isn't built on great ideas. It's built on great discipline. You don't remember the thinker, you remember the builder. Because the builder left something behind, something real, something that demanded sacrifice. So ask yourself, are you dreaming or are you building? Are you collecting ideas or are you stacking bricks? Are you telling yourself you're preparing, or are you avoiding the discomfort of action? The answers are in your schedule, in your habits, in what you finished, not what you fantasized. There are no rewards for almost, no trophies for intention, no legacy in what could have been. Only builders are remembered. Only doers leave marks. Only those who act day after day without applause, without perfection, without permission, ever reach what dreamers only imagine. The world doesn't need more dreamers. It needs more executors, more builders who are willing to be terrible before they're great, who don't care how long it takes, who don't wait for motivation, who show up and do the thing, because only those who build get to live the vision. Everyone else is just watching, so stop imagining, start constructing, tear your dream from the clouds and hammer it into existence, brick by brick, day by day, with blistered hands and an unshakable will. That's how vision becomes real. That's how you stop lying to yourself. Waiting feels wise. It feels responsible. It feels strategic. But most of the time, it's not. It's fear wearing a mask. And that mask is convincing. You tell yourself you're preparing. You tell yourself you're just getting ready. You say you're being patient. But deep down, you know the truth. You're stalling. You're hiding. You're hesitating because taking the leap would force you to find out who you really are. And that scares you more than failure ever could. You wait for the timing to be right, for the plan to be perfect, for the fear to go away. But here's what no one told you. Perfect timing doesn't exist. Fear doesn't vanish with more time. Clarity doesn't arrive before commitment. All of those come after action, not before. Waiting is a comfortable lie that gives you the illusion of control while quietly robbing you of your life. There is no such thing as neutral ground. Every day you wait, something dies. Momentum dies. Confidence dies. The sharpness of your instincts dulls. The fire that once burned hot starts to flicker. Dreams have expiration dates, and most of them don't die from failure. They die from hesitation. The longer you wait, the heavier the doubt becomes, the more legitimate the excuses sound, the more you start to believe that maybe this wasn't your time after all. But it is, now is always the time, not because you're fully ready, not because the stars aligned, but because the only thing standing between you and the next version of yourself is a single, violent act of decision, movement, commitment, action that slices through hesitation and screams, I will not wait another damn day to become who I was meant to be. You don't break the habit of waiting with reflection. You break it with aggression, with ruthless execution, with throwing yourself into the unknown and trusting that you'll figure it out on the way down. You think success comes from certainty. It doesn't. It comes from courage. And courage doesn't show up when everything makes sense. It shows up when you move despite the fact that it doesn't. The longer you wait, the more likely you'll die with your best work still inside you, your greatest story, your boldest move, your true self buried beneath a mountain of tomorrows that never came. The graveyard is full of people who are going to start soon. Don't join them. So kill it. Kill the habit of waiting, not gently, not gradually, violently. Declare war on hesitation. Make urgency your religion. Because the clock isn't pausing for your fears, the world isn't slowing down for your doubts, and your calling will not beg you to answer it forever. Move, today, now, before you're ready, while your hands still shake, while your voice still trembles. That's where freedom lives. On the other side of hesitation, in the moment you finally stop waiting and start becoming. The world won't clap for your discipline. It won't cheer when you get up at 4 a.m., when you lift weights in silence, when you study while others sleep, when you show up again and again with no audience, no spotlight, and no reward. And that's exactly when your greatness is forged, in the shadows, in the silence, in the invisible grind that no one sees and no one cares about. You've been conditioned to chase applause, conditioned to believe that something only matters if it's posted, praised, or praised by strangers you'll never meet. You confuse visibility with value. But real power, it's built in the dark. It's formed in the hours that don't count to anyone else. Quiet excellence, ruthless consistency, relentless repetition with no camera, no applause, no affirmation. That's the soil where legacy takes root. Don't fall for the trap. Don't build your life like it's a performance, because applause is addictive, and like any drug, it never satisfies. You get one hit, and then you need another, and another. And soon you're creating for validation, not for vision. You're driven by the reaction, not the result. You start shaping your life around what will get attention, not what will build depth. But attention fades. It always does. The likes stop. The praise slows. And if that was your fuel, you'll burn out. That's why you must train yourself to build in silence, to fall in love with work that no one claps for, to master the art of uncelebrated progress, because that's where transformation happens. When no one's watching, when it's just you, your mission, and the uncomfortable truth that no one owes you a round of applause for becoming who you were meant to be. You think giants were born on stage? No. They were born in the shadows. They became titans in the silence of daily, disciplined effort. Not because someone was watching, but because they were. They respected themselves enough to grind when no one else gave a damn. And that's what you must do. Your worth isn't proven when people notice you. It's proven when you keep going after they stop, when the room is empty, when the applause dies, when there's nothing left but you and the question, will I keep building? This is your test. Can you be excellent when it's invisible? Can you show up when it's unrewarded? Can you give everything even when nothing comes back? Because the person who builds in silence cannot be shaken. They are self-fueled. They are anchored. They are unstoppable. So shut the door. Kill the noise. Let the world sleep while you grind. Let them scroll while you sharpen. Let them wait for applause while you create history. Because real greatness doesn't need validation. It's built brick by brick in the silence. And when it's finally revealed to the world, it doesn't ask for applause. It commands respect. Energy is your most powerful resource, but only if you control it. Left unmanaged, it leaks. It gets pulled, distracted, scattered across meaningless tasks, useless drama, and people who drain instead of build. And over time, you start wondering why you're tired all the time, why your ambition feels dulled, why your goals stay frozen in your mind. It's not because you lack power. It's because your power is bleeding out through 1,000 tiny distractions you no longer question. You're not just drained. You're undisciplined with your attention. You're giving your focus away like it costs nothing. Every scroll, every meaningless conversation. Every time you check your phone without a reason, you're training your mind to scatter, to lose edge, to be reactive instead of ruthless. And if you let the world aim your attention, don't be surprised when your life becomes a reflection of other people's agendas. Focus is not optional. It's not a soft skill. It's survival. Because in a world this loud, the quiet mind wins. In a world this fast, the still mind advances. The sharper your focus, the harder you hit. The more intentional your energy, the more unstoppable your results. Without that, your potential just floats, unrealized, unfocused, unfed. So draw the line, claim your energy back. Treat your focus like treasure, because that's exactly what it is. It's the difference between a scattered existence and a sharpened mission, between a life of motion and a life of meaning. You can't build anything worthwhile with diluted energy. You can't execute a vision while constantly reacting to notifications and noise. This is war, not just against distraction, but against the version of you that still thinks multitasking is noble, that thinks productivity is about being busy instead of being intentional. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters with force, with clarity, and with the kind of presence that makes average people uncomfortable. So audit your day. Where is your energy going? What are you focusing on that feeds nothing, builds nothing, changes nothing? If you don't start asking that question daily, you will keep waking up to a life where your energy is spent, but your purpose remains untouched. And this isn't about perfection, it's about priority. Pick your target, eliminate the noise, set boundaries like your life depends on them, because it does. Carve out time for deep work, for high focus creation, for mastering your craft, not just once a week, but every single day. Non negotiable, because discipline and focus is freedom, and freedom is only earned by those who can command their own attention. The world will beg for your energy. Learn to say no. Learn to retreat. Learn to lock in and go dark when it's time to build. Because if you don't direct your energy, it will be stolen. And if it's stolen long enough, so will your potential. Don't let that happen. Reclaim the power. Focus like your future depends on it, because it does. Resentment is a poison you drink hoping it will hurt someone else. You replay the moment, the betrayal, the insult, the injustice. You hold it close like armor, convinced it makes you stronger, but it doesn't protect you. It imprisons you. Every memory rehearsed in anger becomes another chain. Every grudge you carry becomes another weight on your back. And over time, that weight becomes part of you. You call it identity. But it's not. It's infection. You've been told that forgiveness is a gift you give to others, that it's about letting them off the hook, that it means what they did was okay. But that's a lie. Forgiveness isn't about them. It's about you. It's not a moral gesture. It's a strategic one. Forgiveness is the only way to reclaim your power from the past, not because they deserve it, because you do. You cannot move forward while dragging yesterday's wounds behind you. You cannot build the future while nursing the pain of what they said, what they took, what they broke. Every ounce of energy you spend fueling resentment is energy stolen from your purpose. You think it makes you strong to hold on, but it makes you bound. And you were not born to be bound. You were born to build. Letting go doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you forget. It makes you free. Free to focus, free to rise, free to evolve without being tethered to the wounds that once defined you. Forgiveness doesn't erase the scar, but it drains the venom. It allows the pain to serve you, not rule you. And this isn't easy. Forgiveness is warfare. It's you stepping into the arena of your mind and saying, "You no longer control me." It's not soft, it's savage, because it means confronting the part of you that likes the resentment, the part that finds comfort in the narrative of being wronged, the part that believes your pain is your power. But that's not power, that's paralysis dressed up as identity. You have to ask yourself, how much longer will I let someone else's actions decide my energy? How many more years will I hand over to a moment I can't change? How many more versions of myself will I kill by clinging to a past that's already done? This is not about excusing them. It's about releasing you. It's about cutting the cord. It's about making the declaration. What they did will not define what I become. So say it. Say it out loud. I forgive you. Not because you earned it, but because I refuse to carry this any further. And then move. Not just physically, but spiritually, mentally, emotionally. Move forward unchained, because freedom is waiting on the other side of that decision. Not in applause, not in revenge, in peace, in focus, in fire without baggage. Forgive to be free, because you've carried this weight long enough, and your future deserves both hands.